Y'all, Stages is now sponsored by BetterHelp, and I couldn't be more excited because I love therapy. So I encourage you, if you've had a tough year and a half, why don't you give them a shot? You can find a therapist that you can connect with. Their resource is thousands of therapists, well-trained and experienced. You can keep looking until you find someone that you click with. They have customized online therapy. They do offer videos, but they also offer phone and live chat sessions. So you don't even have to be seen. You can only be heard. What are you waiting for? Go to BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/stages. And for our cast members, you get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/stages. Go, go, go. Go find your healing. Go find your happy. Stages podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. That's HELP. Hi, I'm Stephanie J. Block.
And I'm Mary Lee Fairbanks. Welcome to Stages podcast,
where we're bringing creation and connection to center stage.
You're kind of a trope in our house. When you and I were working together, I had just met my husband. Right? We were dating, and I had a psychic tell me that I was going to marry him. So of course I go back to the theater and I'm like telling you and Jordan, I'm like, oh, I'm getting married to this guy and and the psychic told me and everything. But Michael came to the theater one night, and at the end of the show, you walked up to him and you were like, congratulations. And he had no idea because I didn't tell him he was going to marry me. So he was like, thank you. And you were like, what a wonderful girl. Couldn't be happier for you. And he was thinking, wow, I'm getting all this congratulations just for dating Mary Lee. She must be pretty amazing. So he asked me about it. I just kind of blew it off. Then we got engaged. And I said, remember when Danny congratulated you? It's because I had told him that the psychic said we were getting married. He was like, Danny knew I was getting married before I knew I was getting married. I said, Danny knew, the stagehands knew, all the entire cast, everybody knew except you. And he's like, great. So now when something happens, I'll be like, oh my gosh, guess what? And he's like, does Danny know? Did Danny know first?
That's funny. Tell him, yes, I know.
Hi, everybody. Today's guest has been working in this business for 38 years as an actor. He's been in 18 Broadway shows and received 7 Tony nominations for his work in The Drowsy Chaperone, South Pacific, Cabaret, Follies, Golden Boy, and Fiddler on the Roof. He won the 2020 Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Musical for his performance as Harold Zidler in Moulin Rouge. His work in theater, television, voiceover, and film is extensive. So listeners, please welcome Danny Burstein.
Danny Burstein to stage, please. Danny, please come to stage.
Welcome, Danny.
Yay, it's great to be here. Thank you. Morning, how's it going?
We're good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. The schedule is crazy. And
I bet. Yeah. Well, we're grateful for your time. Has your body a little bit been in shock? Like, what is this 8 shows a week again?
Yeah, it's insane. And kids who are in the show who are 30 years younger than me are going, Jesus, this is hard. Yeah, just wait. Whippersnapper.
That's how I felt when I would go into rehearsals and it would be 10 a.m., everybody's complaining, oh, there's just not enough coffee. I'm just exhausted, when I'd been up since 4:50. And I was like, son of a biscuit, if you say that one more time.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny. Okay, my first question, and this is hard-hitting reporting. How often is your last name pronounced Burstein? And does the little voice inside of you want to just scream every time that happens?
Well, I had to let that go a long time ago. Because, yes, even dear friends, call me Bernstein sometimes, or Burstein, like Ellen Burstyn.
Burstein.
Yeah, I get that a lot too.
But do you just have to kind of let go and let God with a lot of things in your life? Because like in my notes, I wrote a true gentleman, and I capitalized gentle. The way you present yourself is an example for everyone, not just in our industry, but everyone. every time I'm in your space. There is centeredness, there's calm, there's gentle, there's kindness. And after 38 years in this business, how does one maintain that?
But I want to add one word to that list, which is gratitude. You always seem very humble and full of gratitude for everything.
Well,
So,
I this is going to sound like a sob story a little, but I've had a very kind of, I don't talk about all the things that have happened in my life, and I've had a very difficult kind of life, off stage, and there's been a lot that's gone on, deaths and, all kinds of craziness. I think the only thing that's gotten me through is this feeling that there's a greater good. There's a reason that we're here, and it's to do good things and to be kind to one another and to love one another. And it's kind of as simple as that. And the only thing that's gotten me through the most difficult time of all, with Rebecca most recently, of course, was gratitude. As you said, Mary Lee, that's it. I mean, otherwise you could, get very sad and wallow in that, and you just can't. You have to allow yourself to have emotions whenever you feel them. But the best part about being able to pull through is, as you said, gratitude. That has made everything, that has put a new perspective on everything.
Was that instilled in you by your mother, by a relative?
My parents are strong people. They're still around. They still live in Queens, and in the same house for the most part, that I grew up in. Yeah, they're both teachers, and they're great people. My dad teaches ancient Greek philosophy at Queens College, and my mother teaches painting at senior citizen centers.
I think when you're surrounded by philosophers, you do learn to think in a different way. You put things in a different perspective. My father-in-law was a philosophy teacher as well.
Oh, really?
And it's always interesting to hear the way my husband puts things into a different perspective because of that upbringing, because he was raised with this upbringing that looked at things from all different angles, and you just carry that into your world.
I try to. I really do. And after craziness, after surviving COVID and being in the hospital with everybody around me, literally dying all around me,
gosh.
I thought, well, I'm just happy to be anywhere. Truly. I'm absolutely normal, and I have good days and bad days like everybody else. And, you get pissed off and then you feel great. And as far as work goes, I love going to work every day. I love it. I love walking in and saying hey to the doorman and high-fiving the stagehands and talking to the cast beforehand. And it just makes me so damn happy.
And it shows. It totally shows.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's part of it, I think. I did an interview recently with Paul Wontorek, and we were right above Times Square. And we were talking about the fact that I went to the High School of Performing Arts right down the block over there for 4 years. I spent 4 years in that neighborhood when it was all porn theaters, and it was just crazy. And it was so wonderful and alive. And I couldn't believe that maybe I would get a chance to work in this business. And all those kinds of dreams came true. And all I wanted to do when I was that age was to be able to work and have a normal life like my parents. I wanted to have a house, a family, a car, all those kinds of normal things that other people had, that if I were a plumber, I would have. So that's all that I ever wanted. And, I got very lucky.
You were raised in a Latin household, is that correct?
My mother came here when she was 17 from Costa Rica. Yeah.
All
Spanish
three
is
sons.
my first language, actually.
Yeah, same with Seb. Yeah,
but I don't really. I'm out of practice. But when I go there, I took my family to Costa Rica years ago. 10 years ago, we went and took the boys, and I was like, oh God, I tried to bone up on my Spanish a little bit. But when after about a week, I was having full-on conversations with cab drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, Becca was in the back of the car going, honey, how did you what are you saying?
Who are you?
Who are you? Yeah.
Okay.
And my dad was raised Jewish. She was raised Catholic. and he was raised Jewish. So it was an interesting household. Yeah.
But faith-based.
Yeah. Well, they both, were raised in those religions. I was not raised religious in any particular way. They were like, here is the world, and you can,
what great parents.
Find out,
I mean, that's amazing.
Whatever you want, whatever you believe in. Yeah. My older brother is married to a Catholic woman, and they live in the Midwest. He's the head of security for the St. Louis Cardinals. And,
oh my gosh.
And so, he converted to Catholicism and is very happy doing that. My younger brother is not particularly religious. And I'm more spiritual than anything else.
When did the love of acting hit you? Obviously, it was really young when you were in high school.
I was very young, yeah.
But how? Did your parents bring you into Broadway shows all the time?
No. My dad, as I said, they're both teachers, and my dad kept giving me books to read. It didn't help that they were like the Iliad, and I was 7.
That'll grab you.
Yeah, that ain't green eggs and ham.
Yeah, exactly. And I just didn't connect to them. I just couldn't. I couldn't focus on them for more than 40 pages, and then I go, oh, I can't. Then he handed me a play, and that started it off. And all of a sudden I understood the dialogue form. I loved that they were bantering back and forth. That it sounded like real life.
Could your imagination also grasp like stage direction? Did it put you in that place and time when you were reading?
Yeah, all those things. And I just loved it. And so I started reading plays, and that was my escape. Wow. I just loved it.
Do you write, Danny? Do you ever write plays?
I've never written a play, but I've started a couple.
I would think so, because all of your op-eds have been so personal. Did that hurt when you were writing, or was it cathartic for you?
I didn't, the first thing for the Hollywood Reporter was about just my experience with COVID. I came back and was talking to several friends, and one of them was the playwright, Sarah Rule. And she said, write it down. You should write everything that you just so you don't forget. And I thought, okay, maybe I wrote it down. So I wrote it down as if I were, telling it to a friend. And I sent it to her, and she said, well, this is lovely. I'm part of a website, and, it's an arts website. Do you think maybe we could publish it? I said, I didn't write it for that, but you can, if you think. So they ran it by the editor of the website, and the editor wrote to me and said, great, would you mind making these changes and putting in and edit this? And maybe we're going to take out about 200 words. And I went, no, I didn't write it to be published. So I said, thank you very much. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm glad Sarah liked it. And I'm just going to send it to a few more friends just to let them know what the hell I had just been through. Another friend went, I'm sending this to so-and-so, and the next thing I know, David Rooney from the Hollywood Reporter, the editor there, wrote me and said, I'd love to publish this just as it is, if that's all right. And I went, okay. And the second one, he actually asked me, he's asked me 3 months later. So I'm getting all these letters. Can you write something about how you're doing now? And I wrote the second one going, well, I don't know how I'm doing now, really. That's the truth. I have, I had long-term COVID issues, and that was difficult, and also difficult taking care of Becca at the same time. And the third one I wrote that was about Rebecca, and that just needed to come out.
Seems like you have a very close relationship with your boys. I love that you took one of them to the Tony's Awards with you. I remember them when they were little. They're grown people.
They are grown people. Well, my older son is doing great. He's a first AD, Alex. I keep getting, texts from people or emails from people. I just worked with your son on a film, and it's really, lovely. My younger son, Zach, developed schizophrenia 6 years ago. So he's been in and out of hospitals for the last 6 years. And we're not exactly sure where he is right now. He's homeless somewhere upstate.
Oh my goodness.
That's what he needed to do. He's 25 and he just, he's not on the proper meds, and it's, mental health issues are huge in this country, and how they're all dealt with. But that's what's going on with him. And he's a great kid. He plays like 14 instruments, writes music. He's a beautiful artist. I could tell you stories about all of these things, about, schools and teachers and how he went to the Art Students League and started drawing and taking painting classes. And in 2 weeks, the teachers said, I want you to be my assistant. And he's never taken a class before. He's that incredibly, innately talented.
There's genius in him.
Funny. Yeah. I mean, really, really just anything artistic that he fell into it beautifully. And then when he was 19, all of a sudden he started, acting out. And it was difficult for him. And then it's gone an up and down kind of thing. And if he's on his meds, anything is possible.
Oh, wow.
And if he's not, then, unfortunately anything could happen. But the thing about schizophrenia is his brain is telling him that everything he's doing is right. And everything everybody else is telling him is wrong.
Forgive me, I don't know anything at all about schizophrenia, but does he become almost paranoid where he's insulated, where he just thinks, so you start to make up stories that people are out to get you and you can't trust?
Oh, it's way beyond that. Yeah, it's way beyond that. He thinks that this door is a dragon sometimes.
Wow.
And with schizophrenia, the meds that they have, it tamps down that feeling. It doesn't make him think that's not a dragon. He still thinks that's a dragon, but he with the meds, he feels like he can deal with it,
control it.
That's how it's what homeless people have in the street that are screaming.
And at 19, was it like a flip of a switch, or he had shown some atypical behavior before that?
No, he'd never done it before. It just sort of flipped a switch. Yeah.
Was there a traumatic catalyzing event? Or no?
No, not
just
particularly.
Teenage hormones and the brain just flipped a switch.
And it happens a lot. Yeah. Wow. Like 1 in 6.
You're kidding.
Wow.
No.
I had no idea those were the odds. I
didn't either.
Yeah, it is an epidemic.
Danny, I want to thank you for sharing that story, because I think it's really important that we destigmatize mental health in this country. It has to be something that people can talk about. And I think in the past, there's been a lot of shame associated with discussing mental health. When people talk about it openly and they share their challenges the way you just did, it really is a service to others. You could really help other people open up about what's going on in their own life. So I want to thank you for that. I really appreciate you sharing that story.
I think back to the day when we were at the Atlantic Gala a lot, because that was so early. There were the rumblings and the murmurs of, COVID. But we were so happy and we were all gathering. We had our masks and all those people that we hugged. And what a time that was, those next 2-3 weeks, where little by little you were getting the news of Terrence or Adam Schlesinger and then you. And it really was like this list of people. And my mind just went, I couldn't really grasp what had taken place there shortly after. It was all so different just a week or two later.
Yeah, I remember that time, that party. I remember being there waiting. We were in like a waiting room, an anteroom kind of thing before we went into the
and all the hugs. And
it was lovely, yes. And that was the last time I saw Terrence too. I heard that Terrence was sick while I was in the hospital. And, nobody knew anything about anything. And I knew Terrence had, issues with breathing because of his oxygen tank that he wore for a while. And I wrote immediately. And I said, make sure that they get him into the hospital now, because this illness affects your breathing. Right. Make sure. And I didn't know that he had already passed.
Oh, golly.
They didn't, because people didn't tell me because I was in the hospital.
At that point, like March 2nd or 3rd, what was the status at Moulin Rouge? Because I know your cast got hit really hard. It wasn't just a couple cases. It was substantial, right?
Yeah, it was like 75% of the company. was hit.
Wow.
But only two of us were hospitalized.
You're extraordinary, Danny. You're extraordinary in every way, medically and otherwise.
We got a lot. There was so much misinformation going on. There was all the rumblings about things happening in Europe, but it could never come over here and hit the States that hard because we had, all these medical advances that they don't have. And it just snuck up on everybody in the worst way, or we weren't listening.
My husband went to Rwanda in January, right before everything started to really happen here. Yeah. And he called me and he said, something's going on that we don't know about yet. They were screening everyone before you went into any public building, any hotel. You had to go through screening. They made you stop and wash your hands. He's like, so just be aware that if they're on top of it here, something's going on, because Rwanda's very on top of everything. They're really great. And then very shortly after, it all just hit here.
It was naive.
And I think
officials.
And I think part of the problem is we don't have a lot of faith in our government officials. We don't actually believe what we hear. Wow. But I think if you have a lot of faith in what you're seeing on the TV and in the elected officials, you tend to take things more seriously. What was it like to step out on that stage again in front of your first live audience? I think I would have just stood and cried the whole time. I don't know if I could have handled it.
For sure would have too. No.
Yeah, it was very moving, trying to, not think about that kind of stuff and trying to think about the show and all right, the pacing for this has to be this, and that little general in my brain took over. Mm-hmm. So I tried to block as much of that out.
Oh,
it was
really?
only after I got off stage for the first time, I turned to somebody and I said, what happened out there? Was that? And he said, well,
you got a 12-minute standing ovation.
You got a standing ovation, he said, on your entrance. And I said, I thought that was weird. I thought there were things happening, but I just I took it in for a second and then barreled through and just kept going.
Wow.
Just to keep the show moving, just so it made sense. So I know everybody was very sweet and wanted to welcome everybody back. But I was like, but there's a show to do,
Right. All the characters that you've played, are you an amalgam of all of them?
Part of the fun of being a character actor to me is playing different people and trying to get inside their heads. And I tried to make them different. The one thing you try and do, no matter who you play, is to make it honest from some place. That's the unifying thing. I mean, that's pretentious of me to say, but that's what I tried to do. And then I love discovering new people. I discovering the way they walk, the way they sound, the way they do anything, move their hands. That to me is the fun in being a character actor. And there were wonderful actors who were, John Wayne was always John Wayne,
Right.
And he was
Jack
wonderful
Nicholson,
at that.
Yeah.
And they're great at that, brilliant. But that's not what I ever wanted to do. So I wanted to play different people and really try and make them different. So that if somebody said, oh, that's the guy who played that, then I've done my job.
What makes your Harold Zidler singular then? When you talk about certain walks or gestures or your sort of magic for Harold?
I met Alex Timbers in a diner at 72nd Street and Broadway. And he said, here, look this over. Look at the script. And I'll meet you back here in a week. Look it over. And I read it and I thought, okay, this is unlike anything I've ever done before. The look, the feel, he's kind of dirty and sexy and flamboyant and yet fatherly and yet very, and yet he's also the producer. So he's difficult and hard on people and this huge, this great father figure, but this very dysfunctional family. And I thought, oh, well, this is unlike anything I've ever done before. And I could, play with the flamboyance and play with the sexiness of it and really try and do something else. So I came back to him and I said, okay, I would love it if this happened and this happened, if we got some really crazy things and I popped out of here and came up through the stage and, all of a sudden, boom, I was there, in a puff of smoke. And he said, well, we could do some of those, I think. But that's kind of what drew me to him. That the whole character, it was different.
Do you ever find it intimidating? Because your character, I think of your character in Drowsy Chaperone too. I mean, it just seems like you're having so much fun with them and that you're literally just playing to find them. But do you ever get intimidated by trying to find some of those characters that are so large?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. But that's rehearsal too. You prepare and you prepare and you prepare and you bring all that stuff with you into rehearsal, like you wear a backpack with all this information. And then you walk in and you go, okay, all right. And you start to, listen and play. And then you can slowly let go of the backpack because all that information is in your heart already. And, and then you start to take over and make it your own. And that's the great thing about, rehearsal, the rehearsal period.
I always laugh because breaking down, everybody's like, oh my gosh, all those props and all those things and the bananas and the knives. And then I was like, and that was the Reader's Digest version of what I wrote.
Of course.
So are you a gentleman are you an artist that just has ideas like coming out of every pore, or do they reveal themselves to you as you go about the rehearsal process?
I always come in with a lot of ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
I do. And then I'm open to whatever. I'm open to throwing them all away. I don't mind. Yeah. As long as they can, as the directors in the trenches with me there, trying to figure it out.
Yep.
And that's exciting. Years ago, I worked with the actor Tony Randall, and he was a mentor to me as I was a young actor starting. And he was in the original production of Inherit the Wind with Paul Muni, the great actor Paul Muni, and who was playing Drummond. And he said that every day of rehearsal, Muni would come in with a different look, a different feel. Sometimes he would gray his hair, do all these extreme things, put a rock in his shoe, that kind of thing. So he would walk differently, and until he could pare away all the little things that didn't work and focus on the things that did. Oh, that really made me feel great in that particular moment. That feel, to me, that's what rehearsal is for, to make those little discoveries along the way. And it's okay, it's not failing. People say it's okay to, make mistakes or fail in rehearsal. It's not. You're making discoveries. You're excavating. You're excavating. You're having revelations. In the moment, you're going, oh, that was great. I'm going to hold on to that. That really felt right. And that's the exciting thing about rehearsal and trying those kinds of things and letting your mind play. Yeah, to me, it's all a game. It's like a board game. You're dropped in the middle of a board game, and your job is to push the envelope, all the edges of the board game as much as possible, discover as much as you can, while, keeping it as honest as possible within the realm of that world that the director and the cast has created. And, it seems to me a sin if you don't go in different directions. I was in South Pacific for 2.5 years. In the last 2 months of the show, 2 months before we closed, I discovered a laugh. It's so stupid, but I found a laugh.
Oh, no, but don't you feel so triumphant when that happens? You're like, oh, my God.
Still growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you always trust your instincts regardless of your room? So you're talking about paring away, and you're not married to anything per se, and you're trusting you've worked with incredible directors. Yeah. But at the end of the day, is it that gut that will tell you what is right for your character and your show?
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, that's the thing. I think you have to be open to changing, and the most important part of acting, you have to be ready to listen on stage every single moment. So anything can happen. So your gut tells you one thing right beforehand, but then in the moment you go, oh, that's not right. I'm going to go in this direction. I'm half Jewish, so I'm always questioning everything. Everything is like, did I do that right? Does that make sense? So I'm trying to always discover and, make it as juicy and rich as possible. And, and sometimes you have to break it down, especially in a long run. You fall into a pattern and go, oh, got to throw everything out, Right. As Mike Nichols said, you have to kill your babies, and then you come back to square one, and you have to refocus and go, oh, okay, acting 101. Today we're just going to be listening and looking and talking, and that's it. And throw away all the bullshit, and then just make it real as possible.
That's right. In your 38 years, is there an artist that immediately comes to mind that kept you on your toes all the time, that constantly was kind of shifting and changing, that you had to listen so hard because you never knew what direction or angle they might take?
Oh, gosh. I've worked with so many amazing artists. Impossible to pick one. I mean, one master class was I did an A.R. Gurney play off Broadway. It was basically a three-hander with called Mrs. Farnsworth with Sigourney Weaver and John Lithgow.
Oh my gosh!
Wow!
I did it for a year, and then they left and came back, and other people came in. But that was a master class in listening and talking and being naughty on stage. They're so naughty. The two of them would just giggle, at the wrong places. And but it was just so much because we knew we were right in the pocket and playing. That was pretty amazing. I mean, John Cullum, when I was a kid, I did I did Shenandoah with John Cullum, and I used to sit in the wing right there in one and watch him because I was like, I want to learn everything, teach me everything. And two of my mentors, of course, Tony Randall and Jack Klugman. I did a show called 3 Men on a Horse that George Abbott wrote 100 years ago, almost literally. And I got to do that on Broadway with them. And I would just say, I asked them once, I said, what is the, because they were so good in The Odd Couple together, so good. And I said, what is the key to your success? How did you do it? And Tony went, Jack, Daddy wants to know, what's the key to our success? And Jack had throat cancer, and he was working on one vocal cord. And yet he was able to produce sound, thank God. And he went, we gave it away, like that. And I thought, that's beautiful. And Tony explained, we gave it away. When people would come on the show and they had exposition, they had something to say, other characters, we let them shine. That was important to the story. And when one of us was driving the bus, we let them drive the bus, and then they would reciprocate. And it was a beautiful thing. We gave it away. And that taught me about being generous on stage, that it isn't always about you. And when somebody else has the focus, you take a step down stage and let them shine. Give them the stage. And that generosity of spirit was something that never occurred to me until they actually said it out loud, because it wasn't about me. It was about telling the story. And I had one more thing like that when I was a kid in summer stock. I did Fiddler on the Roof with Theodore Bickel. And Jay Harnick, Sheldon's brother, directed the show. And Jay was a wonderful director in his own right, and founded a company in New York for children called TheaterWorks USA. And I was playing Mendel, the rabbi's son. And I was like, I'd done it when I was a kid in community theater. And the guy who played Mendel was like, sticky, and, did all these kinds of jokes. And I started doing what I saw him do. And he went, no, just say the line. Just say here, this is very serious, actually. And and I tried it again, and I sort of did the same thing. And he went, no, Danny, it's a serious character, actually. And I went, oh. And he went, look, dare to be disliked. Oh, shit. It wasn't about me in that moment. It was about telling the story as a collective.
Right.
And that made all the difference in the world to me. And I was so hurt that he had said that to me. But at the same time, it was the greatest lesson ever in that moment. And I needed to hear that. Wherever he is up there, I'll be grateful to him forever.
Do you find, Danny, that young actors come to you for the same mentorship that you received from others?
Oh, sure. For years, we were always, I'm sure you both were too, we were the youngest ones in the show, for years. And then all of a sudden, like that, you're the oldest one in the show.
And we're wearing reading glasses.
Yeah, exactly. I can't even take mine off because I can't see on the computer. But when they do come to you, do you love to share these kinds of things with them? Do you sort of relish stepping into that role of those people that you sat in the wings and admired for so long? Now you're really stepping in and becoming those guys.
Yeah. I mean, part of me can't believe that anyone would care what the hell I had to say about a certain subject, honestly. And I don't take myself that seriously, but when they do, I try and, fill that gap and let them know what I experienced.
You realize in 38 years, you're no longer the plumber of theater. You're like a jewel in the crown of theater. How have you embraced that?
No, not at all. I mean, because I still, I was just, before the interview started, I was just, cleaning the cat litter. That is, and it's especially now, with Becca not here, that's the toughest part. You're all alone, and you're, people going, "Oh, it's wonderful, you won the Tony Award," but there's nobody to share it with, and the whole experience is bittersweet because you want to be sharing this with somebody when you get home. That way it's tough. And I, so I don't embrace any of that particularly. I just go about my business and continue on and talk to friends and go out with friends and just try and have as normal a life as possible. Mary Lee, I think about your dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think about your dad every once in a while because I remember you talking, because I remember he passed away.
Yeah.
It might've been while we were working together.
Yeah,
or right
it
after.
was.
I just think about him because I never met him, but because of the stories you told about him, especially one where he was ill near the end, and you two were sitting on a porch looking at a sunset, and he looked out at the sunset. It was beautiful, and then he looked at you and he said, "See, this is what's important, right here."
Oh, you're gonna make me cry, Danny.
Yeah. But I think about that all the time. I really do. It crosses my mind.
And now it's time for the 5 questions. All right, Danny, if you could walk into your closet right now, is there a piece of clothing that holds sentimental value that you'll never throw away or reminds you of something or someone special gave it to you?
I'll start to cry. Yeah, I have a shirt of Rebecca's.
I'm introducing a new question. Surprise, Mary Lee.
Okay.
Are you a thin crust, thick crust, deep dish, and what is your favorite pizza topping?
Oh gosh, I'm a thick crust, and because I'm from New York, I just grew up eating that, and spinach, tomatoes, and sausage.
Ooh, nice. Do you fold it in half like a little Sammy? Like a sandwich?
I do. I fold it in half like a taco kind of thing.
Of course. Of course.
No fork and knife. No,
dear God.
Oh, no. I mean, when at the High School of Performing Arts, when we were kids, we would get 2 slices and put them together and then fold them up like a taco.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, it's lunch.
And the grease dripping down.
We're in New York.
All right, Danny, if you could have any ability, supernatural or not, what would it be?
I would not want babies to suffer. That's what I would do. I would somehow make it that babies didn't have to suffer. I love babies. I do. If I could have 20 kids, I would. I love kids. I just do. I always loved kids. Yeah.
All right. If you could go back to your 20-year-old self, what would you say to him?
What the hell were you so scared about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. No matter what happens, and life is going to throw everything at you, but you're going to be okay. At a certain point, as you get older, it seems you sort of have to make peace, especially with everything that I've been through, with your own mortality. Mm-hmm. And knowing that if I did, by some crazy, because life is fickle, by some crazy happenstance, I wasn't here tomorrow, I would have to be at peace with what's happened in my life and how far I've come, and And that's helped me a lot too, knowing that, yeah, okay, I did okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my grandpa lived to be 103 years old. And he was the coolest old man you ever met. And I asked him once, what do you think the key is, Grandpa? Why did you get where you are? And he was a very simple man. You know, he has a garden, his family, that he didn't travel the world. And he said, I made it a practice to think of all the good things that people have done over the years, and everything else, I just let it slip away because there's no point carrying that around. So think of the good, the rest slips away. And he made it to 103 with that attitude. So, yeah. Yeah,
that's valuable. I completely agree. I've never been, I was in a relationship once with someone and she was like, don't you remember the time that you blah, blah, blah? And I was like, no, I don't remember when that happened because I don't hold on to that. We had that fight and
I turned the page and I moved on.
Yeah, I moved on. And I'm sorry that you still feel bad about that. I'm sorry. I don't. And also I'm sorry for whatever happened or whatever I did. I just don't. That's not my MO. It's not how I move forward. Yeah. Your grandfather, I think this was definitely onto something.
If you were a nail polish color, and I know Harold wears nail polish.
Yeah.
What color would you be? And what would that cheeky little name be?
What color of what color would the polish? What would the name of the polish?
If you were
literally
the color
and the color
and the name.
Wow. Well, I'm so not used to wearing nail polish. So I'll just say that I like my red and black nail polish. Zidler Zest.
Ooh, okay.
That would be it. But I Kathy Zuber, the costume designer, wanted me to wear gloves. But I didn't like the way the gloves felt when I was swinging the cane around it. So I said, well, what if I just paint my nails? And she went, I don't know. But I said, well, red and black. And I said, it'd be kind of cool, Moulin Rouge colors. And I'm sure to this day, she still doesn't want me to do that and wants me to wear the gloves. But it became a thing, wearing the nails. And sometimes I regret it. And because I don't know, I think like a few days into wearing nail polish, they start to feel heavy on your nails. Does anybody? Oh, okay. I don't know. I wasn't sure if this was a thing, but it starts to feel slightly uncomfortable. And I can't wait to the end of the week to take it off.
Yeah, because your nails are not allowed to breathe.
Yes.
Example. Right. Yeah. So they start feeling just kind of pasty and heavy. Yeah, I know exactly the sensation you're talking about.
And I do a lot of other jobs. I do TV here and there. And so I can't, so many women are going, oh, you just have to do the gels. Do the gels. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
When I'm playing a district attorney,
exactly.
I literally can't have.
That's exactly. I literally cannot do that.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection.
Exactly.
We're so grateful. Really, really grateful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Danny. I think more people should move through the world the way that you do, giving it away.
Thank
you
beautiful
both day.
So very much. I really appreciate it. It was lovely to be here with you.
Bye.
Bye. Coming up next, what struck a chord with us? Right after a word from our sponsor. Stages podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Our theme song says, love where you are now, but sometimes we all need a little help. I've learned from therapy and in my yoga practice that growth comes from challenges. A good therapist can help you reframe the way you look at a challenge and your life. And BetterHelp can provide you with a therapist that gives you some tools to navigate. They offer customized online therapy, either on video or phone chat sessions. It's more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can reach a therapist in under 48 hours. And right now, Stages cast members get 10% off their first month with BetterHelp, so don't wait. Remember, when you support our sponsors, you support Stages Podcast. So log on to BetterHelp, that's HELP.com/stages, and love where you are now.
I was taking notes left and right. I mean, again, when you're speaking with someone who's a master at what they do, what do they say? You have to work 10,000 hours in a certain field in order to be a master. He is more than a master as an actor and a performer. And it's just beautiful to see him talk about experiences and what he's learned. And all the while, just saying, I just wanted to make a living in this business. He wasn't talking about wanting to be famous or winning the award or, reaching to any spectacular heights, although he has. His career's quite prolific, but that was never his goal.
It's not that he's just made mastery in his career. It seems as though he's made mastery in his life. And he just has this perspective, it's like what he was saying about give it away. He does it not just on stage, always treats everyone with such respect and the honesty and I think that the comfort level you have to have and the security that you have and the self-mastery that you have to be so honest and be so transparent and be so generous and grateful is a very rare quality. Do you know the Rumi poem, The Guest House?
I don't.
Oh God, I don't want to read the whole thing, but it basically says how you have to treat every moment and every emotion that comes into your life as a guest coming to your house. And you open the door for it and you allow it to sweep through your house, no matter if it's joy or grief or sadness or loneliness, whatever the emotion and the experience is, you allow it to sweep through your house. Sometimes the guest will come to your house and take everything from you, take all your furniture and sweep your house bare. Wow. And what you have to do is say, I've made space for something new. And it's this wonderful poem, which I'm, of course, just paraphrasing, but he seems to be in that space in his life with everything that's happened to him. And yet he has grace and he opens the door and he allows it to sweep through.
Again, you look at this human who has had an extraordinary career, who is jubilant on stage, who it seems as though he's giving every ounce of his being to the audience when he is acting, accepting an award in a tuxedo and looking handsome and so alive. And then he starts to share what's happening in his personal life. And you just never know what's going on in other people's houses behind the doors. You just don't know. And I know we've spoken a lot about, being kind, because you don't know what your neighbor is going through. If you know what you're going through, and there are lots of trials and hardships right now, just assume that your neighbor is also dealing with a whole host full of difficulties.
Especially now. Over the last couple of years, everything that everyone's been through. And it's just that perspective, You just have to have that perspective, which is why I love traveling. Like when we traveled this summer, you go and you get this perspective that you hopefully carry back with you, and to remind yourself when you are in that mode of comparing your life to other people's lives or coveting something or wanting something or thinking someone's life is so this or so that, or even judging people for their mistakes or their errors. Right. You get a perspective, and it's so important to try to keep that with you. Like, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what happened to them yesterday or this morning. And you have to try to, like you said, just be kind. Just be kind.
Right. I think I have a tendency of perhaps putting on blinders, not judging my neighbor, not losing patience or tolerance with my neighbors, but getting blinders to where my life is the focal point. As I think that's a normal human tendency. But if you're stuck in there and only concentrating on the difficulties of your day, the whatever of your life, of your travel to school, to work, you got to take off those blinders and say, we're all doing this together. And if we look at it in that way, it will go easier, smoother for all of us. Truly.
Right. That's the perspective thing, right? It's so easy to get trapped in your own thought patterns and stuff.
Yep.
But anyway, that was really lovely.
It was enlightening. It really was enlightening. Well, Mary Lee, I'm grateful for you.
Same here, baby. Same here. I love you.
I love you too. Have a great day.
You too. Bye, everybody.
So if this episode resonated with you, please follow, subscribe, and share.
You can always find us at stagespodcast.net. A big thank you goes out to our assistant and doer of all things technical, Saren Cho. Thank you to Noah Kaiserman and Garrett Healy for our beautiful original music, Melanie Von Trapp for our Stages Podcast logo, Brock Grenfeld, our sound engineer, and Allison Arns, our PR and social media expert.
And thank you, our cast members, for joining us today. We hope you come back next week.